It's a thing. Welcome back to the Perfect Balance Podcast, episode 3. We're going to
You're
skip
really
Spanish as
testing
well.
my Spanish
I am,
now,
yeah.
aren't you?
I didn't even do Spanish, I did
Yeah,
German.
it was French,
So did
wasn't
I.
it?
Yeah.
There you go.
Sehr gut.
Drei? Episode 3?
Yeah,
There we
it's
go.
dry.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like dry, yeah.
Anyway, we have our first guest
We do.
today.
In the handsome form of
Ladies and
Kenzie.
gentlemen, Kenzie Watson.
I've
Welcome to the
brushed up.
podcast. Cubs legend.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here. Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's our pleasure, mate. Our pleasure.
You're one of
Kind.
the people I wanted on from the start because you have previous podcast experience, more so than us.
You went down a list of 10 people and I was the last person to message back, wasn't I? Let's be honest. That's fine.
Maybe not 10.
I'm happy to take it. Yeah, I'm happy to take it. Nah, it's nice to be here. Thank you very much.
That's fine.
It's good to have you on, mate.
Cheers.
So, let's get into it.
Right.
Hibs fan.
Hibs.
Yeah.
But we were just saying this, and I knew this, but Mark didn't know this before we just started filming here. You've not always been a Hibs man, so how did you get to your stage in life that you are now, becoming a Hibs fan? Tell us your journey.
Bad influences, basically. I've been a football fan since I was maybe 10 or 11 years old, but I've never lived anywhere very long. I've always lived. I've been travelling around. I've moved maybe 5 or 6 times in my life, so never really got acquainted to having like a local team. Lived in Fife for a large part of my earlier life, so the teams that were closer by were kind of Hibs, Hearts. Yeah, not great, but Hibs, Hearts, Dunfermline, those kind of teams, but never had any much of an affinity with any one club. But still love football, and actually I kind of thought it was almost like a nice benefit that any game I watched, I would just be happy to see a good game. I wasn't that fussed about who won, who lost. I always had kind of like things that wanted to happen, but was never going to get too down in the dumps about a team losing or too high about a team winning. And actually, that's what I think I missed out on in my early years, is really having the highs and lows of having a team that you really, really followed. Becoming a Hibs fan basically started because I moved in with my best friend Amy. We were both at uni in Dundee, and one of my best friends, her best friends, Jack, they ended up being a couple, Amy and Jack, and he's a huge Hibs fan. So I kind of ended up by proxy starting enjoying Hibs games, and then he was like, "Nah, you need to come Easter Road, you need to come and see this, come and see that," and he just dragged me, and I started really, really quickly getting into it, and having you go to the pub before a match, and I'd never experienced going to a pub with a ton of fans of the same club that you do, and having the chat and being able to really enjoy it and get kind of the camaraderie that comes with being in like a supporters group. And I loved it, absolutely loved it, and I got the buzz really quickly, and now for the last 8 years it's been kind of non-stop. And again, I still love football, love all football, follow it all massively. I'm a bit of a nerd about it.
Because when I first met you, I've known you for the best part of 10 years now. You were just, this is Kenzie.
Yeah.
He's just a total football nerd who loves Italian football.
Yeah.
You were like an AC Milan fan more than
yeah,
anything
that's
else.
true. Yeah, I've followed AC Milan for a long time. From those kind of heady Champions League days, they were the kind of first proper good Champions League games I was watching. So I was just a glory hunter when I was about 10 or 11 year old. But watching players like Kaká, that was the first. Watching the first Champions League game I ever watched was the Man United AC Milan, the 2 ties they had, and Kaká just
like ran the line for the pitch at Old Trafford.
Shredded Man United for both of those games, and I thought, like, this is great. I love this, love watching them. So followed AC Milan for quite a long time, and I still do. I still follow them quite passionately. Still haven't been to San Siro. Would love to go at some point. I'm going to plan on doing it.
I was waiting to see you.
Yeah, I know. So we'll have to make a trip. The 3 of us will go together and we'll catch some games. But yeah, so bad influences. Friends taking me to games. One of my best mates, Dan Boardman, is a big Newcastle fan. So loads of Newcastle games. I'd probably call Newcastle my English team if I had such a thing. And so. Rather than having been picking from a local team, it's basically been friends dragging me to games, and it's been great. Really enjoyed it so far.
That's it. We were literally speaking before you turned up in Mark's podcast about how everyone's got their own journey to follow in their team. It's not as simple as...
Don't you mean last week?
Oh, sorry, 2 weeks ago.
Damn, the second time.
Oh, no.
You're killing us here.
The illusion's been shattered. But yeah, it's not as simple as maybe it was in my case. Dad supports them, therefore you support them.
Yeah.
Mark had a different journey at his team to Dundee.
That's what I was going to say. I think we've got quite a similar kind of, similar-ish Because like I was saying earlier, as everyone will find out anyway.
But they've already watched
Well,
that, so
sorry,
My dad's a muggle. He was not fussed about football, which is a bit strange because my granddad played for Queen's Park for 6 years. Yeah, he played for Queen's Park and a couple of other kind of like juniors, amateur sides. But my great granddad was an Arsenal goalkeeper.
Oh wow!
Yeah, David Watson was an Arsenal goalkeeper. So kind of come from a pretty decent lineage of football playing sons, and then you got
You
my
played for
dad
the
who
Cubs.
just buggered off and left it and wasn't that fussed. So I had to pick up the baton. So So sorry, Dad, but you know, he's from Cumbernauld, so I don't really know what his closest decent club is going to be. It's not going to be Cumbernauld Colts. I can tell you that. So yeah, happy enough being a Hibs fan now for sure.
No, that's good, mate. Definitely. So I mean, obviously, that's how you kind of started to get to support Hibs then. But I mean, what was your first memories of football then, Kenzie?
My first memory of football was the 2006 World Cup. So I must have been 11, I think. Yeah, I was 11-year-old, 2006 World Cup, because one of my friends...
That makes a lot of sense.
Right,
You
yeah.
became obsessed with Italian football.
Right, see, there's definitely a segue in there for sure, because I remember the first game was the first game I watched properly, beginning to end, was the semi-final, Germany, Italy.
Del Piero.
Yeah.
Del Piero
Del
with
Piero.
Grosso. Pirlo was man of the match that day, and it was not even the best game. It wasn't a fantastic game, but the drama and suspense and the nerves, and obviously Germany being the home side, and they'd done so much better than everyone had thought they were going to do. They were brilliant, and actually that World Cup, despite them not winning the World Cup, was brilliant for Germany as a country. Really kind of put out there that they were actually a fun-loving, football-loving team and nation, and they were absolutely gutted to lose, and I could see all the emotion that was going through it, but they did really, really well, and it was just a cracking game, and Del Piero was...
But also Italy.
Yeah, Italy. Oh my god, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And then that was me hooked. And the next game was the final.
So then we got the pizzas in.
Yeah, well, you can see I've been getting the pizzas in ever since. So, yeah, it's all right. But it's fine. Lockdown weight. It's fine. I'll get rid of that. But the final, oh my god, what a first World Cup final to watch.
You know, I watched that game in Sicily.
What?
I was on holiday with my mum and dad.
Right, see, upstage.
We'd watched it,
What's a chance?
that game. And see, watching that in Italy, mental.
Mate, I'm really jealous about that. That's fucking phenomenal.
So many men kissing each other on the cheek. It was like, no, this is amazing.
Was that your first kind of foray into what you like now?
His name was Fabio.
No, lovely. It's a good name, that. Yeah. You never forget your first holiday romance, do you?
That's it.
Yeah, but that was it. The semi-final, final was absolutely phenomenal, and then that was me. I was like, I'm going to like football now. That's going to be my thing. I'm going to support football.
World Cup's a great thing to get you into it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of like every man's tournament. Obviously, football's the most watched sport in the world by a country mile, but just like it brings so many like people together because it's not a club sport. You don't mind whether you're as a Celtic fan, if a Rangers player scores for Scotland in the World Cup semi-final, you'll be crawling the walls anyway, right? Let's be honest. So yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. So that's the first memories.
We have. So let's go on. We've gone about, obviously, like we keep saying it, not a Hibs fan initially. What is your memory of your first game that you went to, or do you remember the first game?
Yeah, well, I wasn't super young. Like I say, my dad wasn't a football fan, so it's not like I used to go to football with my dad in that kind of traditional sense. My first foray into a football match was my best friend Dan Boardman, a big Newcastle fan. We went to school together, and he drove me down to St James's Park, and we went to go and watch Newcastle Spurs. So it was 2012. I'm pretty sure it was 2012. The season just started, 12-13, and it was Andre Villas-Boas' first game.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Is this Pardew days?
Pardew days, back when Pardew was good manager for the whatever it was. I mean, he got that bloody 9-year contract, 7-year contract. Yeah, he was getting so much money for such a long time from that. Lucky git.
Notoriously well-run club, Newcastle United.
Yeah. We can definitely do an entire podcast on the banter era of Newcastle for the last 10 years, but. It was brilliant. The sun was shining. It was warm. The stadium was absolutely packed. First day and stuff. It was fantastic. It was absolutely electric. But just remembering some of the names that were on the team sheet and some of the stuff that happened. Like, now it being 9 years later, you had Modric and Van der Vaart starting in the centre, and Ben Arfa scored the penalty to lead 1-0. Defoe equalises, and then with something like 20 minutes to go, after Spurs hitting the post twice, Demba Ba, huge towering header. Right, there's so many good names on there, so many good names. So it was fantastic. And to try and salvage in the last 5 minutes, they had some young English striker called Harry Kane came off the bench. Yeah, because I don't know. I can't even mind where he is now. Yeah,
So he did.
Norwich legend. Norwich legend. So he came off the bench to try and salvage something because they didn't have much depth on the bench. It was a action-packed, like, star-studded team. But that was Soldado. Penalties. That's all he ever really did at Spurs. Yeah, but Harry Kane came off the bench. So I'm wondering what he's doing now. But it was nice that he got a wee start on the.
Nice to see the young lads get a chance.
Yeah, exactly. But that was it. So I've been to Easter Road a few times now. Easter Road to St James's Park a few times now. Lovely.
So what was your first Hibs game then? Do you remember that?
First Hibs game was away at Livingston, which Tony Macaroni it gets quite a slagging, but I've actually got quite fond memories. I got quite fond memories of it.
You got fond memories of?
Yeah, sorry, mate.
Let's zip this up.
Yeah, the Tony Macaroni. It was a nice day out because again, the sun was shining. I feel like when you got nice weather and you're with your mates, you just remember games more fondly. Let's be honest. And we're sat there in the sun. I mean, they've only got like 3 stands or 2 stands, I think it is. So they had sun on us the whole time. It was a fairly comfortable outing. I think Hibs won 3-1. But it was just nice. It was nice to be there, nice to see it. And by that point, I'd only been, a Hibs fan for like maybe 6 months or a year. But it was nice to come kind of see it. And that's what I'm saying about the going to the pub with all the away fans and just like getting the crack. It was really nice. It's that thing, you can be in a room full of like 100 people you've never met before. You can just go up and speak to someone at the bar.
You got something to call.
You don't need to be like, oh, hi, how are you? What are you up to? It's just like chatting about the game. It's great. And because you get loads of nerds that get there as well, and I love that. Just chatting about nerdy stuff when it comes to football. Lovely stuff. Yeah, so it was really, really good day out. So that was my first Hibs game for sure. But
do you remember the score?
Yeah, I think it was a 3-1. I think it was a 3-1 win. Yeah, I think it was a 3-1 win. So I remember it being fairly comfortable. I can't mind who scored any of the goals though.
That was going to be my next question. Do you remember who was kind of playing?
No, I don't. I don't know why. I should have really thought about it.
Do you know what year that was, Ken?
I think it was 2014.
Right.
Or 2015 maybe. But I seem to have. I might be wrong. Please feel free to come and berate me in the chat box if I'm completely wrong about this. But I feel like it was a Jason Cummings-esque. I think Jason Cummings had just come on the scene. So, we'll get him on the podcast soon enough. We've got a bit of a thing in common now. So Cumdog. Get Cumdog on. I'll give him a wrestle. You watch this space. Me and Cumdog have a wee wrestle.
Pay to see that.
Absolutely. Yeah. But favourite match day. Moving on.
He's got we don't need
the segue. I've got them written down as a together, but was actually a fairly recent one, and it was the Scottish Cup game at Tapedeck. There was 2-2. It was like 18 months ago, 2 years ago. And a lot of people were like, "What was your favourite match day?" Not even a win in the Scottish Cup, but actually it was great because it was the first game that I dragged like my flatmates and my girlfriend to, and about 6 or 7 other my pals who weren't even massive Hibs and or United fans that just wanted to come and experience it. And it felt really nice as like a massive football fan to drag people and kind of make them see this is why I like it. This is why I like it. And it was absolutely rammed. The stadium was completely full and the sun was out. And it was an evening game, so it kind of got cold later on. But we spent most of the day. That was it. Spent most of the day in the sun, in the pubs, on the pubs on Cleppy Road, and then going along. And Hibs were great most of the game. And then it was your man Louis Appere came and hosed it right at the end. It was a great goal to be fair, but I was quite hacked off because I had 20 quid on Martin Boyle to score first and Hibs to win 2-1.
Boyle.
Yeah, so Boyle scored first, Hibs 2-1, and then on the 83rd minute I was like, that's going to buy most of my pints for the rest of the night. Lovely. And then Louis Appere came and bloody hosed it. So if you're watching this, I'm not chuffed about that, but it's fine. We can move on very swiftly. It's okay. But that was my first. That was my favourite match day. Just a class day all round, including. I think Tapedeck is actually a really great stadium. It's really accessible. It's really It's look at you sitting there like, right, okay, move on to the next bit. That's fine. I had an absolutely fantastic day
I
out.
totally agree. By the way,
Yeah,
Paradise
it's a really nice day out.
Paradise
Yeah,
is so much
lovely.
better.
Yeah, lovely day out.
It's so
Away
much
you
better.
go.
No, it's so much better.
Away you
For an away fan,
I
it's
used
so
to like you.
for an away fan, it's so much better.
We're not doing this podcast anymore.
Yeah,
Right, it's fine. We'll just edit this bit out then. I guess.
yeah.
That's
Were you
okay.
were you in the shed or were you in the stand along the touch?
I was the length. I was about halfway along. I was pretty
That's
much.
the best line.
Yeah, it was great, and because you see most of the action both
Exactly.
sides, so I'm tall enough to see over the crowds. Like, unfortunately.
And the
some
key thing
of
is
them
you can see when you're in the away end of dens. If you didn't
Yeah.
get a ticket behind the goal, you can't see anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, God damn.
Poles everywhere.
I just hate them, don't you? What's wrong with you? Ross will be loving this.
It's 30 quid to get in.
Right, I
It's
mean,
a
let's be
bargain.
honest. I could have talked about my favourite match day being Hibs winning 4-1 away at Dens Park a couple of years previous to that, but I saved you that. So it was a nice day, but I was
appreciate it,
too
Frankie.
steaming. I don't
Were you,
really remember most of it. I was too.
Were you at the cup? Were you at the cup final? You beat Rangers.
No.
Oh.
No, see that
Wow.
day I was quite unfortunate. I mean, I was never going to get a ticket anyway. We did try. We went to Bath to get a ticket, but I was actually working that day. I worked in a restaurant at that point. Couldn't even get the day off. I was really pissed about it. I couldn't get the day off. So I was like, right, the only way I'm going to do it is if you put me in the section. There was a section at one end of the restaurant that had all the tellies next to it. So I was like, I'm no coming in unless I can work up there. So at least I can watch the game while I'm working. And I got to the point where, with like 15 minutes to go, none of the tables that I was looking after were really getting seen to, but they didn't give a shit because they could quite clearly see that I was standing there with my plates watching the TV every time I went past. So if they were taking ages to get their drinks or their food, they were like, it's fine, just let them have it, it's okay. And
It's
I was
a
holding
anyway.
3 plates. I was holding 3 plates standing by the bar when the corner was whipped in and David Gray headed that goal in. And I remember just going, "Ah!" And I didn't know what to do because I had these plates in my hand, so I had to like run over at the bar and just plop them down. I just ran down the whole length of the restaurant like, yes! It was so good. And there was loads of the people that was, it's a Dundee restaurant, so there weren't that many Hibs fans in it. But there were people going just looking at the elation on my face, and it was absolutely incredible. So
That's nice for me.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's nice. So let him have that. My food's cold, and the service has been terrible, but it's fine. I'll let him have it. So yeah, that was wonderful. Really catches a match day experience, but I wouldn't change it now. It was great, and I managed to get off at 5 o'clock and go and get pissed after. So
Sorry,
It's always a bonus.
yeah, it was good. Yeah. So there's some very nice days in football.
Brilliant. Superb. So, I mean, obviously we've talked about then your favourite match day experience, Kenzie, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about
The worst
one of
match
the
day experience.
terrible days you've had.
What's your biggest Hibs-ing it that you've seen?
Well, there's been a few. It's a bit sad actually. Some of my pals are actually reticent to invite me to Hibs games now because I've got quite bad luck. I think
That's could be a Hibs fan.
That's it. It's just, I go to games that we should win and we draw or we lose, and it's just scabby and rubbish, and I miss out on like Hibs. I watch Hibs play well and still lose. You know why you're talking Hibs, isn't it?
Hibs.
But I've seen board draws away at St Johnstone. I've seen us get beat by our Broth at Gayfield. I love Gayfield as a stadium, but I've been there twice, and we get beat, and yeah, it's a tough place to go. I imagine. Unfortunately, I've been pretty unlucky with some of the results I've been to. But the worst, I think, was Motherwell away in 2019. It was a fairly recent one, because Hibs were brilliant and absolutely dominated the game. I just couldn't get a goal. And then some boy called David Turnbull comes off the bench and scores. Right, yeah. So David Turnbull comes off the bench and scores. But it's added to a multitude of other things, including I was driving, so I had to. I couldn't even get a beer.
Couldn't drown your sorrows.
Yeah, and it was also like the middle of January, and I'm not even kidding. Within the first 10 minutes, my feet started to get cold because of the weather, and it was that for the entire game. It was horrible. Then just to see. Every 10 minutes there'd be a few openings and Hibs wouldn't take them. And then it got to the 60th minute I think he scored in. And I was like, oh bloody hell guys, this is absolutely horrendous. Like I'll say it a lot worse than that, but I'll keep it kosher for the podcast. But oh my god. And then just just a feeling of like just abject disappointment and like disgust. It's like, come on, like you need to do better than that. And then having to drive all the way home at like 9 o'clock at night, all my mates in the car, pure huff as well. So it's just it was a crap day. It's just a crap day.
Right.
So that's definitely probably my worst away.
They would have
day
been
for
used
sure.
to it though. Like they're like, oh, Kenzie's still new to this.
Probably. Yeah, they're probably hardened to it by that point. But
It's
Hibs.
It's a trap.
I'll take it. But yeah, not my favourite. Not my favourite day out in football for sure. It was rough. But I've had lots of grim days watching Hibs.
Yeah.
But that was some of those I get.
In terms of games you've been to.
In terms of been to, yeah. But luckily I never go to the games like the Scottish Cup semi-final against Hearts, where Kevin Nisbet misses a penalty and then they give away a penalty 10 minutes later. Just annoying. No need for it.
Nobody was at that game.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Luckily. Yeah, very fortunate. Yeah, for sure.
You would have been around for the biggest Hibs-ing of the lot then, the 5-1 in the final against Hearts, wouldn't you? You would have been a fan by then.
Well,
that was a great.
yes and no. I was kind of like on the fringes of being.
Fair play to
but
stick with them after
It
that.
was that was a rough. I was
really
actually
helps.
I was more sorrow for my pals at that point because Jack was absolutely heartbroken and is so angry. He was so angry for like 3 days. You just couldn't really speak to him. So it's like if I could hear him cooking in the kitchen, I'd just avoid him altogether. There was no point going in to go speak to him because he just was fuming for about a week afterwards.
Kenzie's thinking, do I make him like some Czech dishes?
Yeah, he's still not been happy with James McPake ever since. So yeah, fair enough. He had a bit of a nightmare that game, didn't he? It's fine.
He still is.
Yeah, true.
Do you just go to Tannadice and like boo Scatchel when he signed for United?
Yeah, it was close by.
Yeah.
No, yeah, what knob.
I know a lot of United fans. I've talked to about that. Hated that when he went to the.
I think
Because it was
rate
like
that, to be
because it was like, oh, it's like clear that you're still a Hearts guy. So well, yeah, of course you are.
it's just naturally.
I get that though, because like he's playing for another team and he's got a reference to another team.
But surely if that was another club, say, right, and it's somewhat like a United player goes to another team or whatever, I think they would quite like that player still continuing the reference. It's vice versa, isn't it?
Yeah, bloody wasn't.
Well, think about
Dundee fans or United fans didn't hate Lee Wilkie. He played both sides and he was a lifelong fan. So you know what I mean.
Dundee's weird though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, as
The
it, like
village.
we talked about like the rivalry of like it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like us like that and Ross County and Inverness, because I don't think there's a player that's played for Ross County that hasn't also played for
Right.
Inverness.
They've just got one big squad. They just pick from each side.
Who are you playing this week? Oh yeah, you can go and play for them.
An SPL team it is.
Yeah.
Feeder clubs.
Exactly.
Well, I
So
think
we've talked about the worst away day, haven't we? So
Yes.
what about your
Thankfully, we can move on.
best away day?
Best away day. I actually think one of them, the one that springs to mind first, was Killie. So I went to Killie away in
Good back.
2017, and
did you say aye to a Kelly Pie?
I said aye to 3 Killie pie. Really, I did that thing where I was like, my girlfriend was there that day, and I knew that she probably wouldn't want a pie, but I was quite happy to buy it, knowing that if she didn't want it, fine, I'll have that as well. Bovril and 3 Killie pies at half time, and they're phenomenal, aren't they? They're absolutely phenomenal. We should do a football food podcast where we just all rate the pies at half time, because I've had some pretty good ones actually. Forfar for a Bridie's always. Right.
Don't get us started.
Phenomenal, yeah. That's it. So we'll just turn this into a food podcast. Hey, very nice. Nice wee segue. Waiting for that.
It's lovely, isn't it?
That's
The
very nice.
quality on that.
Or Dan, what the Brecon Bovril? That's all we could get.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else sold out.
That was Brecon United we went to, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, no.
Yeah, but I just found Killie a really, really nice stadium to go to. It was a really nice,
a nice round.
day. We were in the town drinking for a large part of the kind of afternoon, and then big long walk along what seems like just a never-ending street, and you get to the stadium. It was just a really nice day out. Yeah, it was.
Did you go to the hotel?
Hotel?
Yeah, the hotel beside Rugby Park.
I don't know if... No,
Oh, there
I've
is?
never
Oh,
seen
it's-
it.
oh,
No,
it's
I've
nice.
not seen it.
Yeah.
No, well, I'll need to go... I've been twice now, and I don't think I've
That's
noticed
where
it.
that's where me and my dad go for a beer when we go to Kilmarnock away.
Well, you and your
It's
dad
outside
can take
the
me
ground.
next time.
Oh,
then,
it's nice,
remember that?
yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to
Come-
go away.
come in.
Absolutely.
Killyaway's nice. You get-
Yeah.
I've never been away to Killie.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah,
good
it's
away
good.
day.
Just
Yeah.
like easy access. Pubs are decent in the town. Yeah, it was nice. It was a really good day. The weather, again, the weather just
Oh, the
makes it much
hotel's
better,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
Get a
So-
good pint in there. Yeah.
Weather was nice. Pretty sure Hibs. Yeah, I think we won 2-1 that game, or 2-1 or 1-0. One of those.
just remember the pies,
Nice.
don't you?
Yeah, I just remember the pies. The pies were phenomenal. So, yeah,
That's
they
the
were-
reason for the best way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything with good food.
You like
I'm
Livingston
quite
because he got
happy.
his macaroni at half time.
Yeah, no, I dodged that. I'm not a macaroni guy, actually. So no, anything with a crust, I'll be all over that.
So, what you're saying to us then, Kenzie, right? Your best away days was purely for the food. Yeah. That and the fun
Can you
for
edit
Friday.
that back out? Because it just sounds like I'm a numpty.
Put like I'm going to edit in a napkin. Some
Not the football.
So if you've got any pies under there you want me to rank just now, just whip them
He's
out.
one
and
made
I'll-
out.
Oh, very nice, yeah. Yeah, definitely having good food is an accompaniment to a good game. Any clubs out there are watching, I'm happy to critique your food for free.
Welcome back, everyone. And, hi.
You're not going to do the avatar again.
I just love
Fuck's sake,
It's
man.
great. Give the people what they want.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all the reason they're watching the video. Well, that, here we get
So we've been through a range
We'll
of
have-
questions,
We'll have
but comes to the
brings
big
us
one
out
now.
of the- Aye.
Kenzie, hit us with your ultimate Hibernian Football Club 11.
Not your rhythm stick.
Okay, so for obvious reasons, I've pretty much gone for like a 2010s or a 2012 and onwards Hibs team. I wanted to pick players that I've kind of watched and have given me a lot of joy in my, short fledgling career as a
So
Hibs
it's
fan.
not George Best.
No, George Best at 6 games a long time ago doesn't make it. And there are a lot of pretty decent names that you'd imagine being in an all-time 11 that won't be here. But this is a team that's like...
Your team.
yeah,
This is your team.
this is the team that I like. This is
Kenzie's
the team that, and often there'll be players that you're like, nah, there's definitely better out there at the time, but it's my team. So I
No
like
judgment.
it.
This is a safe space.
It's a safe space. I'm not going to get bullied for it. Yeah, but I'll get folk in the
You get
comments.
shot up, you make the wrong choices.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll get folk in the comments giving me shite, maybe, and probably Jack will give me shite when he sees my 11. But I started off my formations are 5-3-2.
Oh,
so
jazzy.
nice and defensive.
Nice.
Keep it tight. Get away on the break. Got some nice
You've
players
been
up
listening to
front. Get on the break.
podcast last time,
Ah,
yeah.
it's
That's,
nice.
you've
Got
got
away.
inspiration from my
Tight.
formation there.
Yeah.
Also, you could tell you like
5-3-2.
Serie A. 5-3-2.
Yeah.
A bit of Catenaccio.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and some of the players in here
Italian for
rock
Dobro.
hard. Is that right?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I taught you something about Italian
Lovely.
football.
Yeah.
There you go,
Very
eh?
nice. It's always a school
It was
day.
Helenio Herrera in the Inter Milan team of the
It
1960s.
was. Yeah. Had a lot of
Who beat
hard ass players.
That was just a joke for myself. Anyway.
Yeah. Are you start talking Lisbon lines again? Boring.
No, not me. Anyway, right.
Anyway. So goalkeeper, I've got Marciano because
Oh,
I nearly went Conrad Logan for
I'm
the obvious
disappointed you didn't.
heroics.
I'm not disappointed you didn't.
Let's
pick
be
that
honest,
ever.
if I'm putting this team up against a Celtic
He definitely
11,
said aye to Kelly Pie, that's for sure.
he was 6, yeah. He was an absolute hero, Conrad Logan. But I had to go at Marciano. I think even now he's still top 2, 3 keepers in the league. And he has been so consistent for the longest time. And maybe not the best distributor of the ball, but as a shot stopper, I'm not even sure there's a better shot stopper in the league. Maybe the United keeper this year has been absolutely phenomenal.
He's a good keeper.
Over the last 10 years, I can't think of a better shot stopper. He's calm under pressure. He doesn't really make those kind of clangers. He's not shaky. If he gets beat by a good goal.
Yeah.
And as like a presence at the back, someone that you know is just going to like put their heart on the line and just get the ball away. Doesn't need to be flashy. He just saves it. As a shot stopper, he's phenomenal. His penalty record speaks for itself. It's absolutely brilliant. So
Solid keeper.
you want someone at the back that's going to give your defence confidence. I think Marciano does that for sure.
Yeah, that's the one thing with Hibs, they've
Always a
not
good
really.
goalkeeper.
Yeah.
You think? I don't think they've really been blessed with that many good goalkeepers because you had that Matt Lambe, Bogdan. You know what I mean?
Bogdan was a funny one. He had a bit of
guys
pedigree.
like
Yeah,
Not
Liverpool.
really any standout
No.
goalkeepers.
I mean, when you go back to for guys like Nick Colgan, and that was a good solid keeper.
Oh, you've got Samatolsky as well,
Yeah.
haven't you?
Uh,
From United. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but
He was a good keeper, wasn't he?
yeah, but that's kind
He was
of like
fearless, I'll give him that.
that's like kind of before my time. So I watched videos about players like that, but I never got to watch them that much in the flesh to kind of get a really understanding of what they're like. And Marciano, like, let's be honest, he's been far and away the best keeper for Hibs over the last 10 years. When you're putting him up against players like Bogdan, it makes him look so much better. Bogdan, oh my god, what an absolute
Bomb
rocket he
scare,
was. Yeah, bomb scare is the absolute word. A Liverpool goalkeeper.
I know.
He's stinking. Bolton as well. He was at Bolton for a bit. And he's been the Hungary goalkeeper for ages as well.
You even think about the boy that was at Hearts as well. Remember last season there? What was his name? He was on loan from Man U, Pereira.
Oh, aye,
He's
Joel
absolutely
Pereira, yeah.
honking. He's
was
playing for Man U.
well. That's it. A lot of these players, they like show so much promise when they're younger, and they come and they get thrown out into the deep end and they just can't hack it. You kind of thought Pereira would be a really good goalkeeper because he's huge as well. Yeah, he's a big guy, but nah, stinking. But that's fine.
It shows you the way.
Yeah,
like the
Hearts
big
are
clubs have
stinking
got
though, so
those-
it's all right. You get that quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Kenzie.
Back five. My two marauding wing backs, right and left, I've got super Sir David Gray, which you can't not with that goal against Rangers in the Scottish Cup final. It's got to be one of my favourite moments of football, and not even just for those huge moments, also the longevity and kind of consistency that he gives you on like a nightly basis. Obviously now he doesn't feature anymore. But is still a huge presence at the club regardless. But
Scottish
those
Cup
kind of
Cup.
exactly, and you could never leave him out. And he brings other players up around him. He even if he's not having a great game, he's a voice on the pitch that kind of drags other people. Yeah, and that leadership quality is huge. And then in the same kind of vein on the other side, Lewis Stevenson. Right, like there's no other option for that.
How many hundreds of appearances he's
Yeah,
got for Hibs?
Is it like 500 or something?
I think it's near enough 700 appearances he's got now. 600 appearances.
It was recent, was that not the game just against Celtic? He got a record number of appearances. Anyway, it was on TV.
He's been there
not
forever.
yeah.
Absolute monster, and he's just super dependable. He's never been at any point in his career the best left back in the league, but he's always been there. And one of the best sayings I've heard is one of your best abilities is availability. And he's always available. He's always playing. He plays 25, 30, 35 games a season for his entire career, and he's just great. And he's an absolute Hibs through and through. Loves it, and to be Scottish Cup winning player, and he was also there for the League Cup, the CIS Cup victory a long time ago as well. Just absolutely brilliant. So had to get wee Louis Stevenson in there as well.
Definitely.
Back three. Start off with the meme himself, Effie Ambrose.
Yes.
Love it.
I love that.
I mean, that's it. Like everyone always gives a wee smile when you talk about Effie Ambrose because he's just got that, that meme of like, you're aging, bro. And he's just funny, and like he obviously had, especially at his latter years at Celtic, he always had a bit of had a twang in him, like it was a bit nervy when he was playing. Like he could come up with sublime and the ridiculous in the same game.
Doesn't always concentrate. That was the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like when he went to a team like Hibs and then maybe Livingston, the fact that we've talked about this with defenders before, when he's got to be switched on all the time, I think he's a better player.
Yeah, for sure.
There was the times when he was at us, he would he'd be great, and then he would like go to sleep, and then all the other teams in and have scored. You can't know as much as you would drop a clang when he was at us, you couldn't. It's the same as you couldn't help but love him.
Aye.
It's something about him.
Because
he's like Effie.
You'll agree that like maybe more than even the other defenders on his list in terms of actual talent. Like he was one of the most talented centre halves I've seen in ages. He was phenomenal when he was on form. He was great. He was strong. He was fast. I was going to say he's got really good decision making, but when he was switched on, he could do it. And he's been great for Livingston as well. He was great for Livingston too. So
and a good celebration.
Yeah, just an absolute unit. But luckily helped alongside him by Darren McGregor.
Yeah, solid.
So, just solid.
Eats
Warrior,
headers,
absolute warrior.
Loving each header. Oh, hello.
Just we've got a wee knock
That's
on
our
the
next
wall
guest.
there, but no, the next guest coming down, so I better hurry up this bit then. Sure. Darren McGregor, very handsome. Obviously helps if you're just a hot footballer as well. So he's a handsome chap. Absolute monster as well. The kind of guy that will just put his body on the line, like to get that win. So yeah, he's brilliant. And then Paul Hanlon, wand of a left foot. The guy is absolutely brilliant. Defensively, his acumen, and he's always switched on. But the thing that kind of sets him apart from the other defenders or the other centre halves in this list is his ability to go forward and like dictate play from kind of midfield and be able to kind of release strikers, run to the wing. His diagonal, his left peg to the right wing from Martin Boyle, still so potent. Like, you still get so many chances out of it because when you can use that to bypass a press or a block midfield, it's just brilliant. And Paul Hanlon, obviously, he's had his huge moments, Scottish Cup moments, against Hearts on the road to the final, things like that. So he's had huge moments that I've got to obviously personally be with as well. But it's that kind of like solidity, and you're never worried about having him there in case something was to happen. He's not shaky. He doesn't give the ball away. He's just he's great. Good. So pretty solid back five. A lot of kind of experience, toughness, and longevity with most of them as well. It's not a lot of these ones are for sure. And if Ambrose goes firing off into attacking mid, then you've still got a back four that's very competent. So. Yeah, absolutely.
Sam Crosgrove.
My midfield three starts off with Dylan McGinn, kind of a wee holding mid. Dylan McGinn, for the years that he was at Hibs, he was at least kind of top 5 centre mids in the country for the entire time he was there, and he had this amazing kind of two-way ability that meant that he was so dynamic. He could play anywhere. He could burst forward and be effective going forward for Hibs, but also if he needed to sit back and just spray passes, keep it simple. He was one of these really good players that was really good at recycling possession and could do a bit of everything. It was really nice having him, and he was really combative as well. He's obviously a bit of a fighter. Used to get stuck in all the time and was a perfect foil for the other two that he played along with. For that kind of like 5 or 6 year stretch, one being Scott Allen, who
some player,
right, and just you don't see it often enough, right? You don't see it often enough, especially in Scottish football. We have players like that who are just a tier above when it comes to creativity and seeing things that other people just don't see. It's unbelievable. It's the kind of thing that I would love to have.
Brush.
And you imagine him playing 5-a-side with you. You'd be able to just find you no matter where you were, and I love watching him.
Finally found me when I make that run.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was it's never often me or Dan finding you, so sorry about that. But if you had Scott Allen, you might actually score a couple of goals. Yeah, well, we don't need you anymore because I got a couple of goals in my last appearance. So
that's
don't need you anymore.
When was your last goal?
Oh, I'm sitting now, isn't I? Defensive mid. I'm no longer a striker.
Yeah.
Been punted
You still got
away.
to score goals, do you?
It's touche. Or you could be me, who is a striker who doesn't score goals. So you could have either or.
Like a
But
McBurney.
I'm a hype man.
No, he's more. Kenzie's more of a Dykes than a McBurney.
Yeah.
At least you could do something, Kenzie. You could
Yeah.
hold it up.
I had a really good dive in the last game as well, actually. So.
We both did.
That Malpass, cheers mate, thanks for the pen. Yeah, but if I'm diving just to give Sam Stewart and Dan penalties, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm taking the next one. But yeah, Scott Allen, it's just lovely, and you can imagine he's a striker's dream. Like he's so good at picking the ball up, little pockets, and I think his goal scoring ability is a little bit underrated. He doesn't get that many, but he could if he wanted to. I feel like he's got a really good strike of the ball. He's a little bit like Ozil. I think Ozil was quite underrated in the amount of goals that he actually did score himself, and because he was so good at those little through balls and that creativity, you actually forget that Ozil was a pretty decent goal scorer. He used to get 6, 7, 8 goals a year from that kind of midfield area, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in the kind of consistency that he came with,
like that plus like 10 to 12 assists,
right.
then
the amount of goal contributions, if you're talking looking at that, if you're talking 18 to 20 a year that you'd get when he was fit. It's just a shame that his fitness has been a bit of an issue recently. But
another good thing as well, Scotland, it's good to see him at Inverness.
Yeah.
Because I was watching the game the other night against Ross County in the Scottish Cup, and he was outstanding. He played about like 70 minutes of the game, but you could see his class.
Nice to get him back, for sure. It's been a long time. It's a long time he's been out, and Hibs have missed it. Hibs have missed it recently. Like they were on a bit of a tear at the start of the season, but there was a point kind of midway through this season that they kind of started running out of ideas, and they needed him in there, and he wasn't available, and it's just great to have him back. So, so if he ever sees this podcast, just go. It's all right. And then the last of my midfield trio is probably it has to be the best, and everyone knows who's coming. It's John Mcginn. We've got Mcginn. Just fresh off a 3-goal haul.
Yeah.
In those qualifiers.
3 weeks ago that was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
When we
fresh
got
off a 3-goal haul last month.
What about that overhead kick, by the way? The overhead kick.
Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Actually, I was on night shift. I only just started night shift watching that, so I had to keep the celebrations down. But
Does it guarantee him a start though?
Absolutely.
come on, man, he scored 11 goals. 11 goals under Clark. Since Clark started, 11 goals, and he's by far Scotland's top scorer in that period. So you can't not have him, because
Thank you,
where
Kenzie.
else are the goals coming from?
Thank you.
What? If I just dropped in.
No, you're agreeing with me.
Yeah,
from the last
absolutely.
podcast.
What are you?
He isn't starting again.
Actually, you're not really a Mcginn starting. But I don't really know why, because
I was throwing it out there, the idea of playing wings.
Wait, he's
instead of
back.
Mcginn.
He's don't go
not
with
required.
this one
Not
now.
required. You need someone like that, a shuttler in there who gets the ball up and down. And that's what he was for Hibs. He was
Salah.
proper shuttler. Get that.
That's Salah on attack.
Get that bum out. Met Salah, exactly. Get him round. He's everywhere. Gets that arse out, keeps possession, and he can just do everything, can't he? He's going forward, he's going back. The dynamism and
box to
energy
box,
he brings, that's brilliant. Love to see it.
Yeah.
Like, even if
Paul McHale.
he's the kind of player that, like, even if you're not having a good game, the fans will still love you because you're always putting in the effort.
Yeah.
And a thing like that.
We love a
like,
guy
fans
that
love
runs
that for
about
sure.
in Scotland,
Yeah,
don't we?
exactly. Yeah. Kind of feels a bit like, it's really one side or one dimensional. Just be like, if a player runs, you'll get in my team. It's like, no, we should really be expecting more from an international player. But let's be honest, John Mcginn gives you all of that anyway, so that's absolutely fine. But pretty solid midfield three, in my opinion. But all of them being supporting a front two that's likely to get you lots of goals and get into lots of fights. And there's a good chance if you went on a night out with them, you would end up in prison. But I've gone for a dynamic duo of Tony Stokes and Lee Griffis. Right? What a fight that would be! I know. Can you imagine going on a night out with them?
The night out wouldn't end.
Yeah, you wouldn't be going to training.
Whenever it started, it would still be going on.
So we'd all go out and we'd put our Elvis impersonator costumes on. Stokes would get in a fight. Griffiths would probably end up seeing one of his many ex-wives and getting a kebab on the way home. He loves a kebab, doesn't he, Griffiths? But in terms of what they've given in a Hibs jersey over the last kind of 10 years, it's just great. That
Andy Stokes was good twice
Right.
at Hibs.
He was
Twice.
good.
First time he was there, he was brilliant as well. That's why he got his move to Celtic in the first place. And obviously he fell out down the pecking order with us. Goes back to Hibs, wins the Scottish Cup.
amazing, lovely.
Unbelievable.
It was at Arsenal as a youth player. Is that right?
Yeah, Arsenal.
So Arsenal
And he was at
Falkirk.
Falkirk.
Yeah. Yogi,
so
wasn't it?
I think that was my first kind of memory of him was when he was at Falkirk. He scored a hatful of goals and he's obviously progressed, and it was always marred by his, as a lot of Hibs strikers in the past have been, like, their brilliance is also hand in hand with their stupidity at times. And
You love a flawed hero.
it's nice. You kind of get a bit of an affinity with him.
It's like
don't
an
you, when you
O'Connor
think,
and a
we've all-
Reardon
we're-
kind of guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, you're a bit of a numpty, but you can score goals, so you'll get in the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolute monster. Brilliant goal scorer. Hold up play.
Yeah.
Bringing people in. Like, bit of a knob off the pitch, but so selfless on it. It's kind of like a weird, like, he's not a greedy player.
No, he's
he
not.
brings people in. He was brilliant with Gary Hooper
Yeah,
up front. The
the-
amount of assists he got with Gary
Stokes
Hooper.
was the link man. He was linking
you're
between
right.
the midfield and, like you said, he would sacrifice maybe scoring
Big time,
more goals
yeah.
himself to give Hooper.
Which, it doesn't seem like it would go in hand with his personality, but yeah, it was brilliant as a foil.
No, big fan of Andy Stokes.
And then Lee Griffiths.
Say no
You
more.
can't, how can you...
What guy? What guy?
Probably Scotland's most talented striker over the last probably 15 years in terms of consistency. I mean, maybe he hasn't done it so much on an international stage, other than those 2 free kicks against England. But
Out of nowhere.
yeah, and those. You remember watching those? Were you? I've got a mate who was at the game. I can't remember who it was, but someone telling me about
Couldn't
it.
get
Just give me.
Imagine being there.
Yeah, and I remember watching it clear as day. Those 2 free kicks, and just having that feeling about a minute and a half before something bad happens, that you just know what's going to happen. We're 2-1 up with 2 minutes to go, and I just knew that we were not. Yeah.
That what was started.
I just knew we weren't going to win that game. I knew it. I just could feel that we weren't going to win, and it was just that horrible sinking feeling as we like gradually got the ball at the pitch.
Great hair, though.
Oh, great. Just pass
Great
it.
hair, but
We've said it on the we said it on a Scotland
Stuart Armstrong.
podcast. He's picked. There was a really obvious pass.
Yeah.
He does it. We win the game.
Way, just pass it another way. Do something. Just
Stuart
do
Armstrong,
that.
where's he gone now? Anyway,
What's he ever done?
Right.
But going to Griffis though, like forget the Scotland things. Like Hibs, like he was amazing at Hibs.
Fantastic.
Basically, like dragged you for a few years on his own.
Huge,
And he was on loan from Wales.
Yeah, that was not a great period.
Scoring but he kept you up on his own
Big
basically.
time.
Yeah.
Scoring unbelievable free kicks at Tynecastle. Remember he dug you out in the semi-final against Falkirk and that as well.
That's one of the best games I've seen on telly. I was
The goal he
really
scores in
glad
that
to do
game.
Oh, unbelievable!
If the net again, it's one of them. If the net wasn't there, the ball would still be moving.
Oh,
He just
100%.
hit it and stayed
into
hit.
orbit. It was
Aye, hits
fantastic.
it so hard,
Oh.
didn't
Yeah,
he?
it's lovely. He's come back from such a position, and it was him that was. He was a catalyst for all of that. He was screaming and shouting at people.
Aye.
He wouldn't let anybody shut responsibilities, and he was absolutely adamant that Hibs were going to come back and win that game.
Yeah.
And he's
led
one,
with that.
he's one of your own as well. He's a proper Hibs man as well. So you always got to
big
like
time.
when your own boys are playing for you.
Yeah, I see. I still say I'd quite like to get him back on. Like his wages are still out of reach, but
He
there
might
was
be
a
going to
point where-
Aberdeen.
Is that right?
There's talk of him following Brown to go to Aberdeen.
It's just wicked
Don't know
whispers.
that.
It's you. This is like breaking a story.
Yeah. No, there's not. It's been out and about for a while now.
Down sports news.
Don't bet on that, folks.
He'd be a great signer for Aberdeen. They can't score goals at the moment, so.
I've got one for you, Kenzie, right? What's your thoughts on this? So, from the last podcast, it was quite controversial that Dan had chose Nisbet as one of the three strikers.
Yeah.
Now, where do you stand on this? Would you
Well,
have
the last
Griffiths
podcast,
there?
the first podcast, remember?
The
This
very
is-
first
this is-
podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Aye, so,
debut
the
podcast.
very- so what would you do if you were Steve Clark?
You take
So
Because obviously you've got Griffiths in that Hibs
so
squad of yours. So what would you do?
I think you have to take Griffiths because of the kind of the X factor that you can bring. That it's like it's a roll of a dice. You'll probably get a more consistent performance at Nisbet, but if you get nothing out of Griffiths for 70 minutes and then he scores 2 free kicks like that, it's like
That's the
that's
thing about him,
what can take us over the top and beat somebody like a Croatia. Whereas Nisbet is a fantastic player and will probably be a Scotland international for many years.
Yeah.
I think
It's
Griffiths
too early for him, the way it's all
for the
happened
X
so
factor,
quick for him.
Yeah, for the X factor that Griffiths can bring, and that game-changing moment that you feel like Griffiths can still bring, that Nisbet, probably with all due respect to him, hasn't got that quite yet. He's maybe too young for it.
Yeah.
I think I'd agree that Griffiths has got to be the man that goes. If it is a case of taking a way of
One or
fitting
the
both of them in,
Yeah.
then I would say that's great because it'd be really good for Nisbet to go, and even if he doesn't see many minutes, great to get that kind of experience and exposure.
Yeah.
But if it's a toss-up between the two, one stays and one goes, I'd still say Griffiths.
That's what I was
should go.
saying. You see, like with Griffiths as well, you'll agree with me there as well, because obviously with Griffiths being at Celtic,
Well, he's
now,
played
as
for
a
all.
Hibs
He's
fan-
played for all of our
yeah,
teams.
he's played
He's
for
played
all of our teams. But I mean, when you see Griffiths warming up, and you just know he's going to
Yeah.
come on and score, eh?
Yeah.
Or do something. He'll get
Absolutely.
assist. He'll
Like-
make a menace.
There are
of
times
himself,
when,
you know.
like, especially in this kind of like in the last 12, 18 months or so, he's obviously had kind of injury issues, and now maybe he doesn't take hold of games as much as he used to, but it's that kind of
You can't
roll the
deny
dice
his
thing that,
quality.
that you could just at any moment bring something out the locker that
He's
you
still
probably
only
think
30.
Nisbet can.
Like he's got time. He's got time left. Maybe that's
Yeah.
what he needs. Maybe
Just
a move to a
fitness
team like
issues,
Aberdeen or
yeah.
Hibs or whatever.
Yeah.
Because if he goes to Aberdeen and plays 30 games and scores 18 goals, like he's on the plane.
Aye.
Well, the plane down to
On the train.
Aye.
London. On the bus.
Megabus,
Exactly. On Steve Clark's bus for sure.
That's a very good team you've picked.
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah, I had to leave out a couple of nice names. I had to leave out Martin Boyle, Jason Cummings, Liam Henderson. But I'm quite happy with the team I've got. Alan Stubbs is the manager. Sorry, Neil. Couldn't take Neil Lennon. It had to be Alan Stubbs.
Well, he's won the cup, hasn't he?
cup.
So-
I thought the manager was meant to be you though.
Well, I mean, if they take me, then I'd happily do it. But at the moment, I'm probably a bit ripe. I'll start off at a small club like Dundee, and then I'll end up going to Hibs after that.
Oh, and on that note,
I was actually going to say to you, I mean, I know that, like, as you said earlier, Kenzie, I mean, it wasn't until later that you really started to follow Hibs, so
Yeah.
I know that's quite a recent selection. When you think about, like, the squads I had back 2005, 6. You know when
It's
they
a
had
brilliant
like
player.
Stephen Fletcher coming through, Gary O'Connor, Riordan, like you had
Brown,
mentioned,
Thompson,
Brown,
Caldwell,
Thompson.
Nick
There's-
Colgan, good
aye.
player, Ian Murray.
Yeah.
There's always been like a really good
But I
production
know,
line.
you didn't really follow it back then.
No.
But I mean, for a recent team, that's a very good squad there.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you think about that squad, that was kind of their golden generation as
100%.
well, wasn't it? With Thompson, Brown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a very good side that they had
100%.
back then as well. But I mean, that's solid.
I mean, as good as that team is, though, it's still Hibs it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know.
That
it
was
would.
the only team that did that.
They've Hibs it multiple times.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you very
Yeah,
much,
thanks,
Kenzie,
Kenzie.
for being our first ever guest. And
Thanks,
we
it's
want to
been
have you
great.
back on in the future to talk all things Italian football,
Oh,
no
I'd
doubt.
love to do that.
Amongst
Yeah.
ventures into football that you're making yourself, which we'll maybe keep for.
Yeah, that's a little spoiler.
Watch this
for next
space.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
watch this space. Yeah. be really
Watch this
nice.
space, and he'll be watching your players maybe in the future.
Maybe.
We'll see.
But no, thank you very much for having me on. I really enjoyed it. It's been
Thank
really
you.
good fun. It's
Thanks
nice
a
to
lot,
see you boys
Kenzie.
again after
Yeah.
a long period in lockdown
Absolutely.
too. So
Definitely, mate.
I'll be back for sure.
So Hibs
Super.
fans, comment on Kenzie's team. Let us know where he's gone right, where he's gone wrong, as always. And
Take care of yourself,
yeah,
guys.
watch out for the next one.
Like, subscribe.
Ring that bell, we bell.
Shut up